instant you open your mouth to justify yourself, you have already surrendered. Picture the scene. The critique arrives. A veiled insult among friends, a challenge to your judgment at work, a partner distorting your meaning. You feel the flush of heat. Adrenaline floods your system. Your mind insists you are being misrepresented, that the facts are being warped, that you must set the record straight immediately. So you talk, you correct, you reason, you provide backstory. And in that precise moment, you have given them the keys to your kingdom. Because society does not assess you by the accuracy of your argument. It assesses you by the neediness in your voice. The person who explains is the person who yields. The person who defends is the person who accepts the other's unearned right to pass sentence. Thomas Hobbes, the philosopher of raw human nature, grasped a severe truth that modern culture has tried to soften out of you. He understood that influence is not about correctness, it is about who controls the narrative. And the second you defend, you enter their story. You become the accused in their personal tribunal. But what if you refused? What if, when the assault begins, you perform the single act that unsettles a manipulator most? Most individuals live as emotional marionettes. Their strings are pulled by the approvals and disapprovals of others. Someone scowls, they beg pardon. Someone alleges, they elucidate. They exist in a perpetual condition of reactive justification, striving to demonstrate they are decent, intelligent, or valuable. It is a wretched existence, a gradual suffocation of the spirit. But a different path exists, a manner of moving through existence so self-contained, so autonomous, and so psychologically fortified that criticisms don't merely deflect. They evaporate before contact. This is not about being icy. It is not about being conceited. It is about a radical alteration in where you source your sense of reality. Today, we will dismantle the psychology of non-reaction. We will examine why your physiology fails you in these instances and how to overrule it with a tactic Hobbes would have shared with a sovereign. I will demonstrate how to invert the power balance in a heartbeat, how to make the aggressor question their own perception, how to wield silence not as a lack of sound, but as a tool of total deconstruction against another's self-importance. Be advised, this demands you eliminate a portion of yourself that you have nurtured since youth. The part that pleads to be comprehended, the part that requires external sanction. If you can destroy that craving, you become formidable. You become unreachable. Let's start. So why do you do it? Why, when someone provokes you, is your initial impulse to furnish proof of your righteousness? It originates in early life. Think back to being a child, accused by a caregiver. What was the sole path to avoid penalty? Explanation. I didn't take it. It was already broken. He started it. You learned that authority possesses the power of verdict. You learned your safety hinged on persuading that authority of your innocence. The issue is you aged, but your psyche did not fully mature. You project that authority onto every person you encounter. Your colleague, your significant other, the anonymous commentator online. When you defend against someone, you are unconsciously stating, "You are the magistrate. I am the supplicant. Please accept my appeal so I can feel secure again." It smells of frailty, and people, primal as we remain, can detect that odor of submission from great distance. Thomas Hobbes wrote of the primacy of deterrence. Translate that to current interpersonal dynamics. It is far more secure to be esteemed than to be empathized with. When you scramble to defend, you are choosing being understood over being respected. You are saying, "Please comprehend me. Please see my heart." But a commander does not explain his orders to the foot soldier. A hawk does not explain its dive to the mouse. The moment you begin prattling, offering justifications, displaying evidence, referencing history to validate your position, you have signaled that your inner equilibrium depends on their concurrence. You have handed them the blueprint to your triggers, and once they possess that blueprint, they can exploit it at will. This is the trap of the validated self. You believe that if you just articulate it perfectly, they will say, "Ah, I understand. You are correct. I was mistaken." How frequently does that occur? Virtually never. Because the assault was never about reality. It was about dominance. They didn't challenge you because they sought truth. They challenged you to see if you would flinch, and you flinched. The first step toward becoming unreachable is to recognize that the courtroom is an illusion. There is no judge, there is no jury, there is only you and your interpretation of events. When you cease treating others like arbiters, their allegations cease sounding like rulings. They start sounding like viewpoints. And viewpoints are merely static, so what transpires when you don't flinch? Envision the moment. Someone launches a verbal dart. You are so insensitive. The former, you would retort, "No, I'm not. I always consider your feelings, I'm just stressed." Defensive, frail, reactive. Now, imagine the Hobbesian method. They say, "You are so insensitive." You observe them. You maintain eye contact. You don't blink. Your face remains impassive. You let the quiet settle for 3, 4, 5 seconds. Do you know what occurs in that stillness? It is a psychological chasm. The human mind is horrified by silence during confrontation. It indicates a break in the social contract. It signals you are not participating in the expected dance. When you stay silent, you are reflecting their own force back at them. You are compelling them to inhabit the discomfort they manufactured. Typically, they will begin to falter. They will speak again to fill the emptiness. "I just mean sometimes you can be, why are you staring at me?" They start justifying themselves against your quiet. The power has inverted. This is the gray stone method, weaponized. You become an absence. An absence cannot be assaulted. You cannot strike a shadow. You cannot grab smoke. By declining to supply the resistance of a defense, you allow their aggression to flow through you and destabilize them. This demands tremendous inner command, because inside your ego is shrieking, "Retaliate, say something witty." You must muzzle that beast. Thomas Hobbes knew the most potent individual is the one who cannot be deciphered. If you defend, you unveil your values. You unveil what wounds you. You unveil your pressure points. "I'm not lazy," you yell. Now they know your insecurity is productivity. "I'm not a liar," you insist. Now they know your insecurity is integrity. Silence discloses nothing. It is a black mirror, and when they peer into it, they only see their own hostility reflected back, and it unsettles them. It makes them feel assessed, which is ironic, given you haven't uttered a syllable. Sometimes quiet is insufficient. Sometimes the circumstance demands speech, but never defensive speech. If you must talk, you never oppose the force directly. You redirect it. You employ the conversational aikido. There is a principle in applied psychology called agree and escalate. It generates cognitive dissonance in the assailant. If someone charges you with something ridiculous, defending validates the absurdity. It suggests the charge is legitimate enough to merit a reply. Instead, you embrace it. You magnify it until it becomes satire. Attacker, you only care about status. You're so shallow, defensive. You. That's not true. I care about many things. Predictable, weak, Hobbesian. You, guilty. I'm thinking of getting shallow tattooed across my forehead, in a tasteful font, of course. You say it with a deadpan delivery or a faint, amused curl of the lip. What have you accomplished? You refuse to be insulted. You demonstrated you are not insecure on the topic. You transformed their serious attack into a jest. You established that you are the one defining the reality, not them. This disarms the attacker. They sought to injure you. Instead, you took their sword and used it to slice a piece of fruit. It signals entertained superiority. Entertained superiority is the peak state of high status. It is the demeanor of an adult observing a child's meltdown. You don't get furious, you don't debate. You are entertained by the spectacle because you know you are unthreatened. When you defend, you are getting on the floor and wailing with the child. Don't remain standing. Look down, smile. In the study of power dynamics, Law 25 involves self-reinvention. A component of that is rejecting the identity others attempt to force upon you. When they label you, they are trying to confine you. If you struggle against the cage, you are still engaging with the cage. If you ridicule the cage, you nullify it. You're arrogant. I prefer strategically self-assured, but tomato, tomato. You're heartless. I'm renovating. The empathy wing opens next fiscal year. It is brutal. It is dismissive. and it is magnetically compelling. Why? Because it shows you are complete. You do not require their endorsement to know your own nature. A person secure in their kindness chuckles when called cruel. A person secure in their intellect smirks when called a fool. If you are defending, it is because in a hidden corner you fear they may be correct, and that is the inner work you must undertake. Let's probe deeper into the interactions philosophy. Every exchange has a meta-structure, a hidden framework. In conflict, there is typically an interrogator and a respondent. The interrogator poses questions. Why would you do that? What was your goal? Who gave you the right? The respondent answers. The person asking the questions holds the leverage. The person answering is forfeiting status. The most devastating Hobbesian maneuver is to simply reject the respondent role and seize the interrogator role. You achieve this by answering a question with a question, or by scrutinizing their behavior instead of your own, them. Why are you so emotionally distant, defensive? You. I'm not. I just need space sometimes. Losing. Hobbesian. You. What makes you feel the need to diagnose my emotional state? Boom. Do you see the pivot? Suddenly, we are not discussing your behavior. We are discussing their need to categorize. We are discussing their reaction. You have turned the spotlight onto them. That's a manipulative thing to say. Hobbesian. You. It's interesting you'd interpret inquiry as manipulation. What informs that perspective? You are analyzing them in real time. This is maddening to a manipulator. They want you off balance. Instead, you are circling them, examining them like a curious phenomenon. It's fascinating you see it that way. Does saying that serve a purpose for you? You seem quite attached to this narrative. These phrases are barriers. They acknowledge the noise emitted from the other person, but they do not accept the substance. It is a boundary, a verbal force field. You are stating, this is your material, not mine. You keep it. This is not merely a technique. It is a spiritual position. It is the realization that other people's interpretations of you are their concern, not yours. Their rage is their issue. Their letdown is their duty to process. When you defend, you are attempting to carry their emotional luggage for them. You are trying to repair their feelings. Cease. Let them bear their own weight. Now for the paradox. Sometimes the most aggressive, power-inverting move is to concur, but not in the way you imagine. This is not the agreement of capitulation. It is the agreement of the void. Imagine someone is yelling at you, cataloging your failures, trying to incite a battle. You look them in the eye and state calmly, you're correct, and then you stop talking. You're correct. I can be stubborn. You're correct. I did overlook that detail. This is the fog method. When you hurl a stone into thick fog, what happens? Nothing. No impact, no echo. It merely vanishes. When you agree with an attacker, you rob them of their thrust. They are shoving against a wall, expecting resistance. When the wall vanishes, they stumble forward. They crave a fight. They crave opposition. Opposition validates their indignation. Agreement nullifies it. But here is the subtlety. You must agree with the kernel of truth in their statement without accepting the condemnation they are trying to glue to it. There is a difference between admitting a factual error and accepting a character indictment. You botched the presentation. You're amateurish. Defense. I'm not amateurish. The projector failed. Power move. You're right, the presentation had flaws, I'll revise it. Notice what was omitted. You didn't address the amateurish part. You disregarded the insult and addressed the verifiable fact. You took responsibility for the action, but not the identity. This signals profound assurance. Only someone certain of their own capability can admit a fault so readily. Insecure people battle to the death to prove they never err. Secure people say, my mistake, and proceed. Thomas Hobbes would term this disarming the adversary. If you lay down your weapon, they appear absurd holding theirs. It deflates them. It renders them hysterical, and you poised. And in the long view, history is authored by the poised. None of this functions if it is only a trick. If you use these lines but your voice quavers, or your eyes flee, or your energy pleads, please approve of me, it will crumble. Applied psychology is 20% verbiage and 80% non-verbal command. You must construct the internal foundation to support the quiet. This returns us to the shadow. Why does it sting when they attack you? Because they are pressing on a wound already present. If I tell you your hair is purple, you won't become angry. You'll think I'm delusional. You won't defend. You'll laugh. But if I tell you you are a fraud, and you defend, it's because a fragment of you suspects I could be right. The ultimate defense is not a verbal tactic. It is self-acquaintance. It is gazing into your own abyss, owning your own imperfections, and embracing your own shadow. You cannot shame a person who has already acknowledged their whole self. When you know you are capable of neglect, and someone calls you neglectful, you say, "At times, yes." When you know you are capable of deception, and someone calls you dishonest, you say, "I can be." You cannot expose someone with nothing left to conceal. This is what it means to be unreachable. It means you have assimilated the portions of yourself others try to weaponize. You become translucent, light passes through, arrows pass through. You are no longer a castle that requires guarding. You are the open sky. So here is the challenge. For the next 7 days, play a game. The game is called No Justification. Regardless of the provocation, however minor the critique, you are prohibited from explaining yourself. If you are tardy, say, "I am late." Do not offer the cause. If you make an error, say, "I made an error." Do not blame the tools. If someone misreads you, let them misread you. Sit within the fire of that unease. Feel the urge to correct it, to manage their opinion, to be the virtuous one, and let that urge incinerate into dust. Observe what happens to those around you. Watch how they respond when you quit their game. You will witness confusion, then deference, then a peculiar allure, because people are drawn to certitude, and nothing proclaims certitude louder than a human who does not need to explain their own existence. You are reclaiming your energy. You are sealing the leaks in your spirit. You are stepping out of the part of the subordinate and into the part of the autonomous agent. The world will attempt to lure you back. It will try to bait you. It adores a reaction. Don't provide one. Keep your enigma, keep your influence, keep your quiet. If this perspective connects with the deeper, more sober part of your intellect, the part weary of performing for an audience, then you know what to do. Subscribe, not because I instructed you. Subscribe because you are finished being a reactant in a world of actors. For now, if this provided a new lens, do one thing to shift the momentum. Like this video and follow Mindshade Dynamic for more.